welcome to Jessica's Kitchen, Tips, Tricks, and Hacks. My name is Jessica Tiarina. Thank you for joining me today, Sunday, Easter for most people today, and it is snowing in Minnesota. Never would have guessed. Doesn't surprise me, but I never would have guessed. It's actually quite beautiful. I'm enjoying it. I'm at home cooking, turning on the oven, making warm things. And I thought about sharing another recipe with you guys. I had promised to do one with you today, so I am hopping on real quick and I'm going to show you how I use up some of my herbs that may not be good to use in a salad or as a garnish on a plate. I am going to show you a very quick pesto. And my pestos vary based on what I have in my refrigerator. If I am inclined to do a full-on traditional LaGuardia Italian pesto, I'm going to use basil and pine nuts and Parmesan Reggiano and salt and pepper and Italian olive oil. But for the most part, I'm just going to use whatever I have in my kitchen and in my refrigerator, kind of like we're doing now with everything. If we don't have it, we're not running out to the store to grab one item or two. We're using what we have. And right now, some things are a little expensive. Making pesto is not cheap if you are going to be doing the traditional type, which is, you know, fresh basil leaves, and pine nuts are like $15 a pound, which is crazy. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on things and ways to make it your own without really sacrificing the flavor at all. I'm going to show you how to make just a pesto in general. I'm going to give you the recipe for your basic basil pesto, and then as we go along and I kind of pulse things together, I'm going to show you what other things we can do to incorporate it, to beef it up a little bit, to add things that we already have in our refrigerator that, you know, may be going out to the compost in a day or two. Let's use it up instead of doing that. So traditional pesto, like I said, a LaGuardian Italian pesto is going to have fresh basil leaves. Pine nuts, usually toasted, so you can take those oils out of there. Garlic cloves, Italian olive oil, Parmesan Reggiano cheese, and usually a kosher salt and some fresh cracked black pepper. Now I have most of that today. I do not have the pine nuts in my house, and I wasn't about to go run and buy them, and I'm not about to spend a lot of money on something like that when I only need a little bit of it. So what I did have at home was I had pepitas, I had pumpkin seeds, I had walnuts, I had pistachios. So I just grabbed about 1.5 cups of walnuts this morning and I toasted them right on the stovetop in my cast iron skillet. And so those are here and ready to go. Just toasted whole walnuts. I was using them for baking. I had a bunch of extra. Sometimes I'll throw them in my oatmeal or some sort of a baked dish, but most of the time I'm just gonna have them on hand in a bag, and so I just toasted the rest of them today. So right now we're gonna go ahead and do this pretty quickly for you guys so you can get back to doing what you were doing for the day. I just wanted to show you one of my recipes and some quick tips and tricks on just your traditional pesto, as well as some things that we can do to utilize things up that we have in our kitchen already. So traditional pesto is going to be basil leaves, washed and dried. So I have 1 full clamshell, which is about, I believe, 2.5 ounces of basil. I had a bunch of leftover basil from about 2 weeks ago, and it started to turn a little bit brown. I say as long as the basil doesn't smell rancid and it's not moldy, or it doesn't have really big wet spots to it, which causes that kind of rancid flavor. You know what I'm talking about if you eat a lot of salads. If you've left them in the fridge too long, they kind of turn a little, you know, not so flavorful, and they can actually ruin a salad as far as flavor goes. So I'm going to take those stems off. I am going to show you that I do have a clamshell of basil here as well. Hi guys, thanks for hopping in. Thanks for joining me. Hi Paige, Sandy, Cindy, Rachel, welcome. Just doing a quick demo on pesto here. So here are some pesto or some basil leaves. I'm going to kind of go up a little bit closer to you. They don't look super great. They're a little bit brown. You can tell it kind of right by there. A little bit brown around the edges, but mostly green. None of them are wet or soggy or moldy, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw those in here. So I've rinsed them already, so I'm gonna take the stems off. You don't have to completely take the stems off. I mean, just the big kind of beefy ones, the fibrous ones you don't want in there. You have too many in there and they get a little bitter. So we're gonna go ahead and we're throwing in the basil in there. Now what I like to do to beef it up a little, because that's only gonna make a little bit of pesto, and I like to make a bunch at once if I can, just because then I freeze it and I pull it out whenever I'm ready to use it. So this, to beef up this pesto, I had some spinach leaves. I'm just gonna add some rinsed and dried and destemmed spinach leaves to this as well. It is not a strong flavor, so you're not gonna impact the flavor overall when you do make a pesto. Things like arugula, even if it's a spicy arugula, you might want that extra zip in your pesto, which is pretty good. Sometimes I'll add fresh cracked red pepper into my pesto as well. Most of the time as an afterthought, but I then have to label them separately because they do get a little spicy. So another fun thing that I'm gonna add to beef this up is I had a whole bunch of radishes today that I chopped up, and they were still on their leaves and their stems. So I cleaned up those leaves of the radish. So if you buy radish pre-bagged and they're already all ready for you, great. But I like to purchase them fresh because they last a little longer in my refrigerator and I can pull them off a handful at a time. And they stay crisp and really flavorful and have that real snap of kind of that horseradish flavor. I like that zing in there. So I'm actually gonna put a whole handful or two of radish leaves. Again, if you've never cooked with them, you can saute them just like you can beet greens. There's nothing wrong with that. So we're gonna go ahead and add those. Another thing that you probably didn't know you can add to beef up your pesto that's still green and still tastes good are peas. I'm gonna add in a cup of green peas. Just a couple green peas. You can do spring peas, garden peas, whatever you have. This happens to be a small little bag of leftover frozen peas that I had. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. Hi Megan, hey Holly, thank you. We're talking about some extra things we can add in to beef up our pesto other than just basil. And I added in some radish leaves, some spinach, and now some frozen green peas. I did thaw them out, doesn't really actually matter, but I threw them in there, about a cup. And so I've got most of my food processor here pretty full with greens. I'm gonna go ahead and add about a cup of my toasted walnuts that I said, about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic, and I'm gonna add about 2 to 3 teaspoons of kosher salt to start. I'll taste that in a minute after I blend it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and put about a full cup of olive oil in here. I am using an Italian extra virgin olive oil. It doesn't, as long as it's an extra virgin olive oil, you'll do well. You don't wanna put anything there too light because that is the base flavor other than, you know, the strong basil that you have in there. You don't want something like a canola or a sunflower or an avocado. I'm not saying you can't. You guys know me, do whatever you want to do, try it out, test the theories, let me know how it goes. Maybe I'll try it too, but I really love a good, strong, earthy, extra virgin olive oil. So now we're gonna go ahead and click that in. We're gonna pulse that pretty quick here. And it goes really fast. It pulses in there so quickly. I'm just gonna scrape the sides down. Oh man, that smells so good. So good. And it's bright green, just super spring bright green. I know it's snowing today, but I'm pretending it's spring. Making a pesto. I figured why not, right? All right, I'm gonna do that just a couple more pulses here. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add that Parmesan Reggiano. So now I went ahead and grated my own. I grated about a full cup of Parmesan Reggiano. You can use Parmesan, you can use Reggiano, you can use Asiago, you could use a pre-shredded 6 cheese blend for all I care. It's gonna taste great no matter what. Parmesan Reggiano is just one of those really pungent, salty, earthy, cheeses that really, really goes well with those herbs that you're using in here. And it is a pretty powerful sauce. Pesto's a powerful and strong flavor. You've got basil and pine nuts and salt and great olive oil and salty cheese. So it doesn't, you know, I think it just accentuates it when you add things that may be a little bit different to that. Some spinach, some peas, some different nuts, you know. You can use you could do a pistachio, full-on pistachio. You could mix the nuts in there. It's your preference. Another thing too, I had mentioned all the other greens we can put in here. I also have a full container of different herbs: parsley, oregano, thyme, cilantro. If I didn't get to these by the end of the week and they were starting to wilt and not look so great, I'd rip those off the stems and toss them right in here. You gonna get a different kind of a flavor? Absolutely. I might not want a ton of oregano in there or a whole bunch of rosemary, but maybe that's the flavor I'm going for. Maybe I want to try something different and do a rosemary parsley pesto. You just never know until you try it. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I love cooking and teaching, is because I get to play around in the kitchen and make all these strange things and make these what seem to be weird concoctions. Most of the time they turn out really well, but I have had a lot of kitchen fails, and that's okay. You know, that's how we get to where we are. So I'm gonna try to see if I can show you guys what this looks like. I'm gonna dump a little bit into the jar here. Oh, it's nice and chunky. I really like a chunky pesto. I could add a little bit more olive oil. If I was gonna freeze this, I would add probably another half a cup to a full cup of olive oil, just because that then prevents it from freezer burn a lot sooner. I would use this up within about 4 to 6 months if you do freeze it. In your refrigerator, it'll last a week or two, I would say. As long as you keep it in an airtight sealed container. There is cheese in there, so there's a dairy product in there. So I'm gonna kind of bring that up to you guys. Look at how green that is. It's so bright. So you can kind of see how chunky it is as well. So it kind of big chunks of garlic and the nuts in there. It looks beautiful. I can still see some chunks of walnut in there as well too. I can't wait to use this. I'm sure I'll use it on something this week. If not tonight, maybe just a quick pasta. But you can use pesto for so many different things. People always think of pesto pasta, but you can marinate chicken breasts in them. You can use it as a spread on toast. You can use it in your eggs for a scramble. You can put it in, I don't know, there's endless possibilities with pesto. It doesn't have to be just on the things that we normally see all the time. Go ahead and test it out and try some new things. Let me know how it goes. I'm always open to new ideas and want to share them with you guys as much as possible. So thanks for joining me. That's all I have today. Happy Easter. Thank you so much. Hey, Holly. Hi, Favor. Hi, Kat. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy yourself inside, or maybe you want to go outside and kick around in the snow. Who knows? Couple things I want to share with you. I'm going to do my very first live virtual cooking show or cooking class on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday the 15th. So please go onto my Facebook page. I have it posted there with a link to register. It's also on my website. There is a link on the home page to register for that class. It will be via a Zoom conference, and you guys will be in charge of your own ingredients. I will send you the recipes, the equipment list. The theme is going to be Cuban cuisine, and so it's going to be technically things we have mostly in the house, beans and rice and canned tomatoes, but we will also be doing a chimichurri chicken. So very similar to this pesto, but it's just plain herbs all mixed together with garlic and a little bit of acid, and we're going to marinate the chicken breasts and bake them and have that alongside some Cuban black beans and rice. Love seeing you guys. Thank you so much. Hey, Cindy, Steve, Michael McLaren. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining me. If you missed most of it, I'm sorry, but this will be live. I'll post it again when I'm done here. Let me know if I can do anything else for you guys. Let me know what things you want to see from me, hear from me, and let me know if these are helpful to you at all, you guys. I love doing this. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Wash your hands, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me for Jessica's Kitchen Tips, Tricks, and Hacks. I'll see you soon.